Assistant Chief Glenn Johnson, who's pinch hitting for Chief Coleman tonight, last second. This is just a discussion on the SAFER grant application. Once again, this was also presented to the Board of Selectmen. We will actually be voting on this, not tonight. I know we're a little short-handed. Eddie, we're hoping to get the fire budget in next week.
Yes.
There is a deadline on this. We've looked at this SAFER grant last year. It's come back and available to us in a much different and smaller form than last year. So, Glenn, if you want to just fill us in on this and what we're trying to accomplish with it. And I will say the chief did a nice job with his presentation on that the other night.
Good evening, everyone. I do have some handouts that I'll pass around so that you can follow. Ultimately, what we're looking to do with the SAFER grant is bring our staffing from currently 8 to 9, which would bring our minimum to 7. This is something that we've been talking about for a long time. The chief has addressed it in some letters to town management since 2013. And currently, town management has worked with us on developing a plan to help us get to that level. And we have a position in this next budget coming up that's a half-year position, which will bring 3 of the groups to 7, leaving us 1 more position in the future to try to bring us up, up to 9 with the minimum of 7. So we do have 2 groups currently with 9 and 2 groups currently with 8. But as of January 2020, we'll have 3 groups of 9 and 1 group of 8. So ultimately, that's what we're looking to do. In this grant, why not take advantage of the federal government's ability to give us money towards those positions? So 1 position is already budgeted, and this grant is for 2 people, so it would pay for the position that's already budgeted, and then it would add that 1 extra person that we're looking for in the future, so we could get it all together now. Ultimately, if you follow down on the lines, as we said, the grant request is for 2 firefighters, and the government over 3 years gives you a percentage. So the first year, the feds would pay 75%. The second year, they pay 50%, and then they pay 25% in year 3. And the town share increases over those 3 years, and then year 4, that's when the town would own the position if they choose to.
Okay, I'll open it up to any questions. Once again, we're not going to take a vote on this tonight. This will be folded into the budget discussion. So if I heard correctly, then a half of this is already baked into our proposed budget that we'll be seeing in the near future.
Correct. So in the end, if you look at it, the 3-year grant period, it's $557,967. If it's awarded, the town overall would save the $275,145, which is good.
Okay. Good, and I know that the Board of Selectmen also wanted a confirmation and got it from the chief that this is salary and estimated benefits. How would the benefits part work, Ed? I mean, every person that's a municipal employee has different benefit needs.
Right.
And
this assumes a family plan for each one of those positions, so it's on the high side. We use roughly 30%. Now, a family plan in today's dollars with the base pay, including retirement, Medicare, and other costs, is more like 38%. So we figured 30% would be a fair average for one that may select a family plan and one that may select a single plan.
Okay. And this wouldn't cover turnout gear, the other stuff that's necessary, correct?
That is correct, it would not.
So there are some other costs. And I'm in favor of that, of this. And I think the idea was we were looking at maybe a 3 to 5 year window to hopefully get there. This just gets us there a little quicker with some government help. At least until year 4. Okay, that's fine. Any other questions?
Just so the grant itself is only for new positions, or is it to fund,
It's for new positions.
New positions.
Yep, the goal is ultimately to have SAFER staffing ratios.
What is the, it has to be a government acronym, what is the SAFER?
It's Staffing, adequate staffing is what it's for fire and emergency response. Yep.
Yeah, there was an acronym, I forget.
Yeah, staffing adequately for fire and emergency response.
Yeah, emergency response, okay. Ann?
Yeah, question, so it's, you would apply for the grant, and then the money would get paid out over 3 years if it was awarded? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yes.
Apply
each-
just once, right?
Yep, we apply just once, and then from there, the town gets assessed.
How are the, what's the outlook for the town for getting the grant?
So each year, it's a little bit different, because it is a national pool, and they don't just look at each department, they look at the pool of money.
Yeah.
So it's however millions of dollars they have for it, and then when you apply, they look at each grant, they rate each grant, and then they award them. So, you know, we could get these 2 positions, and then another community could get 50 positions, depending on what they were asking for, if it was a larger city. So it is a very competitive grant. As you know, last year we went for a grant, a SAFER grant, and from there we were able to get some very good feedback from that grant. So I think this year we're staying positive. If we are able to apply for it, we're hoping to get it.
Okay, thank you.
Kev?
So where does, just got the book tonight, so where does this meet with the budget of next week? Is this counting new requested positions, or how is this integrating, are we into the budget for?
Sure. So right now, this is not in the budget. We do have the half position in the budget in January, but we have not added any extra people in there for the budget based on this.
For the full year.
Yeah, for the full year.
Okay, so you, okay.
Even if we apply for the grant, the position still wouldn't start till January, as we already have the half position, as we learned from last year's grant process.
And based upon last year, I believe the award is made sometime over the summer.
Yes.
So we would have to make a fall town meeting adjustment to fold those into the budget if in fact it is approved.
Yes, they award them on Fridays over multiple weeks, and then what would happen is, if all the money was dried out and we didn't get an award, and another community decided not to take their grant, that opens up that pool of money, so then we may have a shot at getting it, but down the road, that's how it works, it's multiple weeks on Fridays, is when you're told over the summer.
Maybe this is, again, for discussion next week, but how does this plan into your staffing and overtime for, if you're talking your groups, some of your groups are going to go up to 9, which with the minimum being 7, you're less apt to have to go into overtime mode, right? Because you'll have
Correct.
two extras in theory.
Right, so the plan is, right now, our minimum 6, the plan would be to go to 7. We do have 2 groups already at 9. However, the 2 firefighters that are on there are in the middle of training, so we're not really counting them yet. They're still going through all their training processes, and the plan would be to get the other 2 groups to 9, and then have those people trained if they need to be trained, depending on who we get. And then from there, the minimum would be 7 at all times, and that would help alleviate overtime, because we wouldn't be looking to
So you would go
overrun.
to 7 when all the groups are at 9, or you plan to go 7?
All the groups are at 9, we'd be looking to have the staffing at 7 all the time on the groups.
Currently, it'll stay at 6 until you get to that full staffing level. Okay.
Makes sense. Yeah. Like I said, it was a great discussion. I caught it on TV from Monday from the chief on this. And he also made it sound like there's also a chance that only one additional firefighter gets added. So there's a wide range of things that may happen with this. The best case, obviously, is it gets accepted, we move forward, we make an adjustment for the fall town meeting, depending on the timing, and we just move forward as we adjust a lot of things in the fall. Worst case is we've got a new employee that's coming on January 1st, 2020, and we've already got it in the budget. And where we're doing only one-year budgets, then we just probably looking at this again next winter. Okay, good. Any other questions? Ed, we miss anything on this, Ed? We miss anything on this?
All set.
Julie?
No, I think, actually, I just wanted to say thanks to the deputy chief for saying this, explain one quick thing. We have been at minimum staffing levels now for for the last 18 years.
Yeah.
And our call volume over that period has gone up dramatically. I'm going to get it wrong, I'm not as up on those numbers as the chief was the other night, but I believe the call volume went
It's
from...
over 400% over the past 20-something years. The call volume has gone up. Last year, it was like 3.6, I believe. Yeah, 3.6.
So that's why town administration has been working with the fire department to come up with a long-term plan and a long-term strategy to address their needs. We understand we can't do it all at once. We've been trying to do it when we can do it. When we can't, we don't. And when we need to start it in January, we wait and start it in January. But we have to have a long-term plan. We can't just be looking at this on a year-to-year basis because it's not going to get us where we need to be. We've got to make sure that we have the proper staffing. Those numbers are just going up. The call volume's not going to go down. It's just going to increase. So we've really got to address that minimum staffing
Yeah,
level.
and 36% of our calls are generally multiple calls, so we have more than one call going on, and trying to get 6 people to different spots is very, very difficult.
Yeah, and that's what concerns me, and I observe Facebook a little, not really on it, but Auburn, the Mass Auburn Fire, whatever, and you see about certain calls, multiple calls, that kind of thing going on, and I know our staffing has been pretty stagnant for a while the call's going up. We're going to have a burnout issue if we don't already, and we're certainly, to me, that will run right into a safety issue. And you guys get really expensive when you get hurt, and I don't mean that in a negative way, but it's expensive for the town. Plus, we lose some good people and good Auburn people, and nobody wants to see anyone get hurt. Your job's tough enough. So I'm looking forward to the budget next week. Will you be coming too? Is he going to drag you up here?
I plan on probably trying to come.
All right, that's too bad. All right, that's fine. Any other questions? Once again, this is just for discussion, so we can take a vote. I believe, okay, it says here, we've got to apply for this by March 22nd, I guess, or
Yeah,
somewhere
by
around there. And I believe the Board of Selectmen was also looking for some direction from us on this before they vote on it. So they're waiting on us also on this, so that's why I want to get their budget in as soon as possible, see if there's any more questions, and then move forward with it.
Quickly,
Yep.
just with federal grants, are there any concerns, are there any drawbacks? I know with the old COPS grants, you had those positions were locked in, but they're not necessarily funded on, in a couple of years out, and those positions were tied, staffing had to be scaled back due to budgetary issues. Are there any concerns? So sometimes the federal grants have a lot of requirements behind.
There are no strings attached here, as I understand it, and I think you alluded to it earlier in your comments. We're not bound to keep these 2 individuals once the federal money dries up. We believe at that point in time we will have the resources to maintain those 2 individuals. No reason to believe that we would let them go, because quite honestly, that wouldn't be in the best interest of the town to bring 2 on only to release them. So we believe that we can make this commitment, and we can continue this in year 4 once the federal money dries.
And also, Kevin, I think you were asking if the government wouldn't support it, let's say in year 2. Once they give us the grant, the money's there for the whole entire time.
Good. Glenn, thanks for your time. Appreciate you coming up.
Thank you.
Have a great night.